Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Olympian Table.
Good morning. You need that little black thing in front of you there so we can hear you, man.
The nun said to the bishop, I need that black thing in front of me. That's right. Okay, and what have you got this morning, Mr. James? Have you got
Man,
Mr. James Lee, as always, extraordinaire,
Man,
hand washer?
we lost a gem, Angela Lansbury, Dame Angela Lansbury, man. She passed at her home. They say. Let's see. I think she was what 90. 6 years old. Man, that's a long life to live. And I didn't realize how decorated she was. Of course, I know she was made a dame by Queen Elizabeth, who also just recently passed. Maybe they're going to meet up there in the pearly gates in the sky. But Murder, She Wrote was what I knew her from.
No.
Murder, She Wrote was the one that's as a kid.
What was the most famous?
No, I'm telling you what I knew her from as a kid was Murder, She Wrote. But of course, as an adult, you realize that she got. She did a whole lot more in all the awards and everything that she won. Golden Globe Awards and Lifetime Achievement Awards and so on and so forth. I think she got an honorary Academy and several nominations for her. But I know she definitely was. Murder, She Wrote was not her claim to fame. I know that. That's just how I was introduced to her as a kid. So, but yeah. So she's going on to glory. Angela Lansbury, R.I.P.
Yeah.
What were you going to say about her?
The one that I really remember her for, that I believe she was in, was she in Poppins?
No. Mary Poppins?
Yeah.
I don't remember her in that.
No.
No?
Let's see what movie
I don't. You can
in.
look her up. I don't remember her in that.
I know she was in Bedknobs. I think Bedknobs and
She might have been in maybe the Mary Poppins Returns, one of the newer ones, but I don't know. I don't remember if she was in there or not. Looks like she was in Disney's Bedknobs and Broomsticks.
Yep.
I thought she was in a lot of
The King
Disney.
and I.
Wait, she was in The King and I?
That's what this says. The stage adaptation of it, and then she did a lot of voiceover work as well. Beauty and the Beast.
Mrs. Potts.
Mary Poppins Returns. She was in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, Angela Lansbury.
She was in Gaslight.
Yep.
Nancy McPhee, Blue Hawaii, Beauty and the Beast, Mary Poppins Returns.
Several different things, yeah.
Mrs. Harris to Paris.
2 children. I don't know who they are either. I don't.
National
names
Velvet.
aren't listed.
That was a pretty good movie for the Manchurian Candidate. See, I didn't realize she was in that.
Yeah, and they ever actually redid that movie Manchurian Candidate. I think Denzel
Samson
Washington
and
was in
Delilah,
that.
The Mirror Cracked, The Popper's Penguins, The Picture of Dorian Gray, Sweeney Todd, The Demon, All Fall Down. Oh, but the page goes down and down and down and down and down.
Yeah, so just giving a little tribute. She's over there from your side of the pond. Miss Angela Lansbury, Dame
Passed yesterday.
Angela Lansbury, went on to the shiny stage in the sky. Rest in peace, Miss Angela Lansbury, for sure.
That's so sad.
Yep. 96 years old. That's a long life, though, man. She didn't miss any time here for sure. So that is a long time. So, man, let's dive in. You had a few things that you were kind of discussing as you came in.
Well, that's sort of more local
affect
to
you?
some of the stuff that we cover. I was just intrigued yesterday because I was watching the local news, and they were saying that, and I think this is part of the problem of the culture that we have in America at the moment, where in Harris County they're trying to vote on a budget for the police.
Harris County is the county where
local
Houston
county
sits,
did.
right?
Yeah,
So
it's not where you live.
for those of you that watch,
you live in a different.
I'm not in Harris County, thankfully.
And there's some really what I think are ridiculous rules, because one of the rules is that there has to be how many people present in the HOA. Let's explain how the HOAs work, which is sort of very similar. We have to have a quorum, which is basically it has to be so many people present for you to vote on anything for it to take effect. So in other words, if you've got 5 people on a HOA, we normally on most HOAs need a quorum of 3 or 4.
So the way that a quorum works is it's typically at least half of the number plus half. So let's say if there's 10, you got 5.5 will be the majority. So you need to have 6 people there for a quorum, so that something could get passed. That's just the regular rules of order, meeting laws, regulation. For a quorum, you need to have a majority there. So if that number's 20, then you need to have 11 people there. If it's 4, you need to have 3 people there. That's how you get your quorum. So in this case, they didn't have a quorum, I'm assuming.
Right. And basically, I think because there was, I think 4 people that wasn't there on the quorum, and it's like this, I think there's like 14 people on the commissioner's court, and because 4 people wasn't there, which to me seems a really high quorum, that they couldn't vote on something as important as police funding, or they was basically trying to vote on a budget. And although Hidalgo turns around and says that she, wasn't feeling well and she's been with the doctors and she's been with, she's been ill for the last 2 weeks. She's a Democrat, by the way, that she basically said we've got to end the meeting early because we haven't got a quorum. But the reason why the meeting was ended early, whether she's sick or not, is because Jack Cagle, the commissioner, and Ramsey, who are both Republicans, and this is the problem in our situation. It's like we need to do things for the people. I think they do forget who they work for and who they represent. Need to talk together and get something out there. Because what ended up happening was the police turned up, and then can you go to the photo over there? And the police are sort of blaming Hidalgo for this because she's the chairwoman of the event, and
she's Harris County judge, right?
What's that?
She's a Harris County judge, right?
But basically, she didn't have any power to do anything because she didn't have a quorum. So she had to stop that debate, and it was sort of kicked down the can was kicked down the road, and basically the Republicans have stopped it. Cagle and Ramsey's absence have stalled the budget proposed by the last 3 Democratic commissioners. Harris County law enforcement funding has increased annually over the last decade, reaching a record $966 million in 2022. County law enforcement funding has risen by 22% since 2017. Then it says, state law requires 4 members of the Commissioner's Court to be present in order to vote on the tax rate and annual budget, meaning Cagle and Ramsey's absence have forced the county to adopt a no new revenue budget. In the case of the no new budget scenario, the county will collect the same sum of tax revenue levied in the previous year, plus revenue from properties added to the county rolls in 2022. The later being taxed at the 2021 rate.
So essentially, it's your point in this is that they couldn't come together to an agreement. Absolutely. To try to see, and that happens all the time. The politicians get involved and they get their own personal feelings into it on either side. No one's guiltless in it. It happens to where they end up not doing their job, and then the people are the ones that end up suffering.
Absolutely. Well, the police the frontline people are the one that suffer. And I've read this backwards, to be perfect.
Well, I haven't looked at the budget. Do you know? Is it more just them looking at getting a raise for the police officers?
We've got The midterm election's coming up, and this is why I brought this up this morning. And then, listen to this, all right? When you people are out there and vote, I want you to listen to this next paragraph, and please remember the next paragraph. The Hidalgo-led court has been locked in battle over a proposed property tax rate increase found in the county's proposed 2022 budget. Precinct 3 Commissioner Tom Ramsey and Precinct 4 Commissioner Jack Cagle, the two Conservative members, have skipped multiple meetings in recent weeks, effectively blocking the passage of the county budget as a result.
Again, that happens. That's part of the game.
And but that's the problem.
It's part of the game. Just like filibusters, and anything else when it comes to coming to a decision on what's going to get passed and what's not going to get passed. It's, there are different tactics on how to stall this stuff. In this case, I mean, I don't know what's actually was on the table in the budget, but some things won't get passed because of it. So they just got to wait another year for the next time. So it's unfortunate. Definitely, it's unfortunate.
And things end up just not getting passed. And, all you're doing, as I said before, is just, kicking the can down the road, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah. Well, that's the importance of getting the people in position that line up with your views.
Yeah.
So they don't do stuff like this. So they probably met for dinner right after the meeting was all over. Everybody got that, hey, we're going over to Jack's house. Yeah, we're going to go over there. He said, we got some chicken wings. And that's the crazy thing, man. They fight in front of us, but behind closed doors, they're all friends, man. It's crazy. That's the truth. That's just kind of one of those things that happens. But anywho, hopefully Harris County or wherever you live in your county, you're not having to deal with, what's happening here in the Houston area and surrounding with no new revenue budgets and things. So last week while we're kind of in that vein of dealing with issues, we kind of covered Herschel Walker and this whole him running for office in Georgia for this seat, Senate seat, and the lady coming out and mentioning that he asked her to have an abortion, and of course
did he ask her for an abortion? Or
well,
that's what was to say how it became an abortion.
That's what it was supposedly what was said is that he asked her to get an abortion once he found out it wasn't a good time, so on and so forth. Up until
because he was going to be a politician later.
Well, I don't know if that was the case. He already has, I think he has 3 or 4 children, and only one in wedlock. The other ones are outside of wedlock.
Now one of them hates him with the videos.
Yeah, but the case that just kind of it. I'm not saying he's guilty. It just doesn't look good. So apparently, this woman that had the receipt for the abortion, and the money that got deposited into her account after the abortion, mind you. So, he could argue, hey, that wasn't for that. But get this. He had a child later with this same woman.
Yeah, I heard that.
He had a child later with this same woman, and from what she says, that he tried to convince her again to get a second abortion, and she said no. She wasn't going to do it. Now, he's saying she's lying. It's a flat-out lie. It's not true. Reporters were asking him, okay, well, do you know who because before he didn't know who it was, but he said, well, do you know who this woman is? Well, of course. It's your kid's mom. You know who this woman is. But I don't know. It's something off about that whole scenario, man, because not that he can't change his mind, but why now? Why would she come out now with, he asked me to have an abortion, and you have a kid with him? And I don't know if this Christian kid is the one that came out and said, "Oh yeah, my dad did do that,"
Now,
or if that's his
when I
mom
say
or
what
not.
I'm going to say, you're probably going to say that I'm just a liberal being a liberal. All right? This is what I'm going to tell you. Do you think we should do background checks on some of these politicians before they? Because I mean,
I thought,
because I mean, you've got Herschel Walker, who, no disrespect to him, fantastic, football player.
right.
I mean, I don't think it's real football, but a football player. You've
Mm-hmm.
got Dr. Oz, who does nothing but sell health products, and now becoming Republican candidates. Do you think we're getting the wrong type of people in places that we need stronger people?
Um, well, quite frankly, I thought that would be part of the process. Forgive me for being ignorant to think that it isn't.
Because
Because I thought a background check
no disrespect, but do
was.
you think Herschel Walker is the perfect candidate, whether he runs for a Democratic or even on a Republican ticket?
I can't say that he is or he isn't. I don't know him personally, but I would say if you are in
But
it
you
for
shouldn't
the
have to
people
know
and for the
anybody
right.
personally to
But
know.
what I'm saying is, I don't know where his his view. He hasn't been in front of the spotlight long enough for me to say, hey, this is. I think he has, views that line up with mine. But I would say the same thing about Ralph Warnock, who's the minister pastor, who's for abortion. That doesn't line up for me. If you're supposed to be, a preacher, but you're pro, a pro-choice or whatever, that you're okay with the abortion piece of it, and not saying that you have to be anti anyone, but we can all point out, flaws in their character. But I thought there would be a background check. If you want to be in the Senate, there needs to be a background check. There has to be a background check for me as a loan officer. I don't know. Do realtors do background checks?
We do.
So we
FBI come in and
yeah,
say,
we have to get fingerprints.
Are you
We
a
got to.
naughty
They
boy?
run our credit. They do. We have to have a pretty boring life in order to be a loan originator. So to be on the U.S. Senate, why wouldn't there be some type of vetting of sorts to your background?
I mean, the thing with the abortion, would it show up? That wouldn't even show up, though, would it?
It may not show up, but I mean, you can do a background and just kind of look for those types of things, different relationships, people um, just to go back long enough to just kind of find out, who's this guy been tied to? He's got 3 baby mamas. It's like, what does that speak of him as?
And who would you put
his
that
character.
responsibility on? The party?
For doing the background check?
Yeah, for taking
Well,
care of all the
Yeah,
background
well,
stuff.
I think if it's a Senate seat that's open, that should be part of the process. We're gonna put you through a background check to make sure, everything
And
is
that's
cool.
the party that should be doing that.
Yeah, but I mean the party.
'Cause
Yeah,
at the end of the day, it's on them. If not, they're the ones that look in.
but I mean it could be the party, but it could just be just a part of the budget in the Senate because it's for the country.
Right.
We want the right people, whether you're on one party or the other. We want people to be vetted and that they're there at least, and not to say they got to be a saint.
Because as soon as they go into public light, what happens? All the worms come out the woodwork.
Yeah, you don't want everything. They shouldn't have to be a saint, but at least do a background check on them just to kind of see where they stand. We get so caught up on red and blue and conservative and liberal and all that crap. It's like, man,
I want the purple.
People
I
can
want the purple party.
Purple party would win. We could all win.
That's really.
We
what
could
needs to
all
happen.
win if we were purple. Yeah, you're right about that. I'm sick of all the division. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and you were saying about playing the game. Can we move on to the next item? Jake? Well, no, Herschel Walker can't get out of the news.
What was the next one? Was that the one for LA?
Yeah.
It was the one for Beto O'Rourke slams Greg Abbott for not showing up at a meeting.
Oh, that wasn't on the list. That you sent that in. And where'd you send
Just
that at?
now.
Just now?
Oh yeah, that it's in the
Okay, Discord it is.
it's in Discord. That wasn't on the list, man. He was looking at something else. So yeah, look in the Discord. He put it in there.
Okay, hold on.
Now, what was this meeting?
That's not the one.
You just sent, it's the one on Discord, yeah.
That's not the one on Discord. One of us showed up. Beto O'Rourke slams Greg Abbott.
Well, only one of us showed up. Yeah. It keeps running me back.
That's it. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it looks like it's a video, Stephen.
Okay.
Forbes breaking news.
Yeah, because he's pulling up the same thing, so.
Yeah. In a video released on social media, Beto O'Rourke slammed Governor Abbott for failing to show up to a debate. I don't know when the debate was. When was it scheduled?
And they was both in Houston last week, both on the same day.
Was it like on purpose, or was it a?
I don't know whether it was scheduled,
okay.
but I know that Greg Abbott was in Houston one day. O'Rourke was he was up at Tidwell at a community center in Tidwell.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems like Beto needs to get a job, if you ask me.
No, I think he's great.
He's running for everything, every office he loses.
I like the way he conducts. Personally, I like the way he conducts his meetings because he's a bit like us. He doesn't really have a set agenda, but he just brings the questions on and invites the questions to people.
Yeah, open forum type stuff.
I like that. I like that.
You got to do more than that to run Texas, though.
You know, if you was fixing anything in Texas at the moment, what would you want to fix?
Our borders, get that under control, because I think it's gotten out of control.
Do you think the borders are out of control, or do you think the processing service is out of control?
That's all part of it. I think it's all out of control. It's gotten to a point to where they can't handle a lot that's taking place,
Let
and
me
the
ask
people.
you a question. Which way do you think is a better way to handle? I think part of the problem is, yes, the borders. I definitely think that the way that the immigration system works, mine took 2 years. All right, from start to finish.
That's actually fast compared to what they're dealing with now.
As an Olympian, okay.
Yeah.
I know somebody at the moment that's going up to, I think it's like 7 or 8 years, which is just ridiculous.
Agreed.
Lucky enough, she's married to an American, which has sort of helped her.
So she's still here. Yeah.
But the other thing that I think is really ridiculous, part of the problem, in my opinion, is some of the employers that employ them.
Oh yeah, of course, because they're here.
And they'll work
for cheap.
Right.
Yep. You can pay them under the table.
And that's part of the problem. It's the employers that need to, there needs to be penalties out there for employing them, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, the system is definitely broken as far as processing.
Do you think it was
swiftly?
Do you think it was the right thing to do to fly them up to Martha's Vineyard?
It was
in
petty.
New York?
It was petty, but what it did is kind of gave a hey, this is what we're dealing with. So imagine this on a 10x scale. This is what we're dealing with. Just to kind of give an idea, because when you're not getting the help or the assistance that you need, you feel like you got to do something. I think it's still a petty move on either side to do something like that, because you're talking about human lives, and they're just not chattel. You don't want to treat people that way, but that's the movie they decided to make.
Well, I think your idea was probably the best. When you said, to build the homes.
Oh yeah, like a little community over there. Yeah.
Push them out to work.
And see, somebody purple could do something like that. If we could get a purple party together, we could do something like that.
Yeah. I really think that's something that could work. I definitely think it could help us with infrastructure.
Absolutely. Because if they're participating and feel like they're a part of it,
would you pay them
if they worked? Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. That would be part of it.
Uh-huh.
Pay them and make them pay taxes. and instead of them,
But
taking these dangerous
that's
routes.
part of the things that that a lot of people that have got not socials, but what is it? What's the numbers they're called?
The what?
They have a social security number when they're not legal.
Oh, a tax ID number?
Yeah, what's it called?
A tax ID number.
A
The
TIN.
10.
A TIN.
Individual tax ID number,
Yeah.
right.
They pay taxes, don't they?
Yeah, if they file, they absolutely do. But see, some of them don't do that in fear of being, on paper, so to speak.
So can they buy a house if they're paying a TIN on a PIN?
Yes, they can. They can. And that's revenue for whatever county that they live in. Yeah. There's a way to do it, man. If we could just get our pockets. It's just so many people with their hands in the cookie jar.
Yeah.
So
I just put another item in that I'd like to discuss with James in the Discord.
Oh, wow. Yep.
I want to know what James thinks about this little item.
There you go, James. Grab the board.
Come on, James. Let me know what you think about this.
I don't know. You tell what is. I haven't seen this article.
You know,
What is it?
they've promoted this home flipping thing for years now. All right? You know, you buy a house at basically half the value, you put a little bit of money in it, then you flip it and you make your money.
Make it sound so
and
easy,
you make
right?
You make your fortune on it. And you own,
Mm-hmm.
and then because you have to pay capital tax on it, which I think is what, 30%?
I think that's where it starts. It could get higher depending on where it puts you.
You know, if you own it for less than 12 months, you pay capital tax. If you own it for up to 2 years, I think
Right.
it's 15% or 20% or something. Well, this article just came out with home flippers are in trouble again. Experienced flippers and housing analysis alike are warning that rookie home flippers could be in trouble. So what they're basically saying is that if they're inexperienced home flippers, you know, the writing's on the wall.
Yeah, it's in the market that we're in. I can understand them pulling back with interest rates being higher, because their whole goal is to, get the biggest amount of cash flow as possible. Buying it for cheap, selling it for high, doing the remodels and all that jazz. And it was easy doing a low rate environment because everybody's trying to buy. Everybody's trying to get in there. But now that people are pulling back and the prices of the homes are falling, there's that profit line is not in there as much. I think, and I don't know what your experience was on that side, but I know for us, we got a whole lot of first-time, quote, investors. They want to come in and buy these investment properties and blah, 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 just kind of because that's what everybody was doing. But now they might be on the hook for a potential disaster.
I had a call about a year ago, and it was a guy called me up and said, I've just been to Arizona to do a flipping course. And he'd paid, and I said, oh, interesting. I said, how much have you paid to do this course? He said, I went to $1,500 I paid to do this class. And all they're doing is they're not teaching you to flip. They're not teaching you to flip properties. Well, they're really just teaching to do nothing. And he said, well, he told me to contact a real estate agent just to get a blank contract so that I can write a contract. And I said, well, I'm sorry, but you have to be to actually complete a contract in the state of Texas, you've got to be a real estate agent. So I can't give you a copy of a blank contract. Then he got real upset with me.
Of course. Because he paid $1,500 and thought he was going to just come in here and do what he needed to do, excuse me, to buy this property.
Yeah.
They should have just given the money to you.
Should have. What might have been a cheaper opportunity for him. Yeah.
And then I've got a couple of questions for you, James. Just your opinion on different stuff. What's your opinion on this Ukraine war?
Well, I actually had a article in the Discord kind of about that. I think right now we're in a situation to where Russia is probably not doing as well as they thought they would do against it. I think we as a country are sending way too much money over there, quite frankly. Um, and I think we'll end up regretting all the funds that we sent there. Um, and I think if it gets to a point to where Russia is quote unquote losing, they may up the ante to this thing to nuclear. And if that's the case, man, it's everybody's going to be involved. NATO will be in. I think it'll be an issue where everybody will be involved in that, and of course, that'll be good for us because war times, we make hay, but it's not good for the country for people to be in war. So, just my short answer is it sucks for everybody at this point because we're still kind of up in the air.
Do you think Russia will push through to try and take Crimea?
I don't know.
You see, I think there's a point before you get to the point that you talk about. The 4 states that Putin has said, are now Russian. Well, basically, he took them to try and get the soldiers to fight against Ukraine, correct? But then also, when they blew up the bridge, the idea was to stop feeding that part of the country. But, I would have thought that perhaps Ukraine would move through and try and take Crimea back. So where they were in 2014, because now you've got all the little Soviet states that are turning against Putin, because what they're now thinking is, well, Mr. Putin could be doing the same to us in a little bit because he wants the USSR back.
Oh yeah, of course.
So they're basically not really supporting him like he was. I mean, he's just put a hard liner in that was the guy leading Syria. But my personal feeling is, I think what Biden said, I think was very wise, to be perfectly honest, when he said, we're like where we were with the Cuban Missile Crisis, because nobody's ever going to win a nuclear war. We're going to annihilate ourselves. So it's more, nuclear war is used more as like a game of chess.
Of course.
All right. But unfortunately, I think Putin's a madman.
So it's possible.
And that's what really gets me going, because I think Putin isn't the man that he used to be. And if you look at different things online, different people that have met him, they're even saying now they think he's absolute mad. I mean, he's sending hundreds of thousands of troops. Yeah, it is. I agree with you. And he's sending hundreds of thousands of troops out there, no uniforms, no modern equipment. The economy is up in arms. There's starting to be resistance at home. So he's got pressure coming in from 2 sides, Ukraine and in Russia. So for him to keep power, and that's what this is nothing but power. The only thing I'll miss when Putin's gone is his monthly calendars with nothing on his shirt.
I think he thought it was going to be easy.
Oh, he thought it'd be over in a week.
Oh yeah, he thought it'd be easy, and now it's fueled by ego. I think he has walked into a hornet's nest, and the hornet's nest woke up a beehive, and then he stamped in an ant bed, so he's just covered in biting insects all over. And although they may not be killing him immediately, he's dying slowly. Right. I think there's problems that have been created that he didn't realize they were going to be to this magnitude. And now, if I bow out now, it's a loss.
I think the only way this is going to stop is if somebody assassinates him.
He's got to die. We're not saying that we want him to. Just know we agree that the only way that this man he's got to be out of the Kremlin.
And then
that's it.
And then what's going to happen is, and believe it or not, I think the West will maybe even help Russia to get themselves back on their feet. But I mean, to get industry back. You know, I mean, Ford have, you know, have pulled out. Or, you know, a lot of companies have pulled out.
I think that's the only way. He's gotta be eternal rest for him in order for there to be
And that's why I
peace.
think so many of his generals have gone missing. His oligarchs have been pushed out of windows or fallen out of windows mysteriously in hospitals.
Because they're probably telling him, "Hey man, you need to
You know, I
you need
mean,
to chill."
he should even just go in hiding, really.
Well, he's got that little man syndrome. He's a little guy. So, um, yeah, it's ego, bro. Right now, it's definitely ego driving him.
Well, it's definitely much harder to kill him. I mean, we've had multiple
Yeah,
assassination
but
attempts that
Oh,
he's
you,
always
oh, you know how to you know how to
but
get him
it's-
though,
but
right?
it's not it's not America's job to assassinate.
It is not definitely not ours.
That's got to be put way off the table.
Yeah, we can't be anywhere close to that at all.
That will just cause more problems
Yeah.
than what it's solved.
Totally.
have to do it. They do it for free.
You know, but do they have gun laws in Russia?
Gun law? Oh yeah, yeah, they do
They have gun laws.
gun laws. Let me see if I can see. I
Because
remember
all you
reading
need,
them
all
in
you
the
need
past.
is, you know, one psycho scale the walls of the Kremlin.
There you go.
Well, you got to be willing to first get out there um, to do it. So I know you can have some guns, but they got to be registered. They got a registration over there, but I think you got to store your guns at a certain place. So it's all on the books. So you got to be willing to die, basically, if you want to go do your kamikaze mission of assassination. Yeah.
But I just wondered what your opinion was with
Kind of where it is.
what your feelings were on,
Yeah.
you know, on what you thought of the situation. I was listening to a program last night and they were saying there's basically three results that can happen from this. You know, one is that they're going to come to an arrangement, you know, but that's highly unlikely with Zelensky.
Mm.
All right. The other one is to be, you know, basically some sort of retaliation, you know, for the Kersh Bridge. And what that is, we don't know. You know, now if there's retaliation, he's bombing Ukraine, which is the country that he invaded.
Yeah, he started
And
it.
then the third retaliation is if he decides to retaliate to a NATO country, you know, and there was a general that was on there and said if he was to retaliate to a NATO country, he would probably retaliate to Poland or an air base in Poland, because that's how NATO would make their strikes, from Poland or something like that. And if they did that, then of course, you know, the Fifth Amendment of the NATO would bring holy hell. But a lot of the politicians are saying that they don't think it's going to get nuclear.
Yeah, that's bad for everybody because you stand, like you mentioned, you stand hurting some of your own when you take it nuclear. So.
And then there was one thing that I just wanted to show you, which I thought was really interesting. Let me just get it. I wanted your opinion. I wanted your opinion.
Looks like it's blocked. Something's blocked. What is it? Was the video blocked?
Yeah.
What you got?
I got this for you, which I thought was really interesting about how you should riot. How you should demonstrate. It's on this other thing. How you should demonstrate in Russia.
Oh, God, yes.
All right.
This is already...
This is. Have you seen this?
Uh-oh.
Go on.
Oh, wait.
Just click OK. Go on and go for it.
Oh,
Look.
God.
Yeah, here we go. Look.
Uh-oh.
Look.
Oh, yeah.
Parental discretion is advised. Just we're letting you know.
Oh, no,
now.
just go
Yeah.
for it. Go on. It's okay.
We're
Go on.
definitely gonna go for it.
All right. You ready for this?
Yeah, you gonna play the video?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So we won't have our sound while it's playing. So we'll let the video play.
Okay. Because I need viewers to let me know what you think about this, about how to demonstrate in Russia.
Okay, now you're gonna be quiet.
Эти негодяи не дают Олимпиаду нормально проводить. Люди нормально чем занимаются?
Какая вам
Сейчас
разница?
на стадионе, да разница
Я в
простая.
своей стране живу, щак, блядь, понял? Я в своей стране живу, понял?
А вы с Америки приехали,
Понятно, блядь.
высадились только вчера тут в Сочи, и
не
начинаете
трогаю.
тут погоду строить. Вас предупредили, езжайте.
Members of Pussy Riot showed up in Sochi, where Russia is hosting the Winter Olympics, to record a new protest song. But when Nadya Tolokonnikova and Masha Alyokhina and a handful of other members of the group headed out of a cafe towards the Sochi seaport to tape it, this happened.
50 миллиардов наших живущих! Вы не знаете, какая ваш папил и круче! В лагерях подчиненные падать научат!
Путин научит себя любить Родину! Путин научит
Бежать отсюда приехали.
The men beating these women up are Cossacks, a paramilitary force supported by the government.
Бежать отсюда, а там не Москва, блин.
Путин научит тебя любить Родину!
Знаете, Путин научит вас любить Родину.
Until we come back to let us know when you got back sound.
We got back.
All right, go ahead.
Okay,
Steve.
I want to put this in
Give
perspective.
some context, right?
All right. These are not American whores. All right. These are not from America. These are Russian citizens that are trying to demonstrate.
They're actually a
against
music group.
They're a music group.
Right.
All right. And they basically they're a punk band. All right. And basically what they're doing is they sing and they demonstrate against Putin. Now,
Right.
is that not a demonstration of brutality?
Yeah, they're getting as we used to call as a kid,
That's
they getting their butt whipped. Literally getting their butts whipped. So I've never heard of this group. It's a Russian feminist protest and performance art group based in Moscow that became popular for its provocative punk rock music, which later turned into a more accessible style. So they've been around for at least a decade or so.
They're living in Georgia at the moment.
Okay.
Because apparently Mr. Putin has sent out death warrants for their arrest.
Oh wow.
So they're living in Georgia at the moment, which is one of the mini states that they got.
But you know what? Man, you can't just do what you want to do. You got consequences, as we're seeing on tape. I'm not saying it's right, but they are getting. One dude was bleeding, wasn't he? Looked like
Even the photographer was getting.
Yeah, he was like, "Hey man, they just hired me for a couple hours." They got Everett over there getting a whipping for nothing, right? He just came to video. He's like, hey, hold on. Yeah, I don't even know these people.
I really don't.
Yeah, this is unfortunate. But you can't do just whatever you want to do, wherever you want to do it. We are at least in an area now
But
where
you're all for free speech.
I'm all for it. Speaking of free speech, I don't know if you've heard, probably haven't. Kanye West kind of made some comments.
Oh, what's your thoughts on that?
He made some comments about, first he wore a White Lives Matter t-shirt, right?
Uh-huh.
Which was I know why he did that, just to kind of,
Stir it up.
go
Get
definitely
his-
stir the
and-
pot,
and
but just
get
kind of
his
be
clicks.
anti against the Black Lives Matter thing. But anywho, but then he made mention about going now. I was explaining this to my wife. DEFCON 3 is what he said. It's not DEFCON, it's DEFCON. But in defense readiness is what that stands for. But on Jewish people, and I don't know why he brought in Jewish people and why he mentioned it, but he mentioned he's going DEFCON 3 on Jewish people and gonna do X, Y, Z, blase, blase. Now, there's a lot of control, in media, television and radio, by people that, are from Jewish faith. I'm assuming that's what he meant, but why bring it up? Just make your comment, say what you gotta say. Now, again, they shut down his Twitter, they shut down his Instagram, took him off social media. I don't agree with that. Honestly, I don't. It's like, look, bro, you said it. You're going to deal with all this heat. You're going to deal with whatever you brought upon yourselves, these hot coals from these internet streets. You're going to get every piece. But they shut off his tweets because it was violent language, whatever it is. But nevertheless, man, you just can't do, although we're supposed to be able to say and do what we want to do, you got to deal with the consequences, man. Wherever you are, you got to deal with those consequences because it's not always going to end up well for you. So, yeah. So be it. Here's another one. Speaking of speech, go to that number 1, Everett, on there.
Well, I knew that was gonna happen.
Now, we got a little bit of a video here as well, Stephen. And just to give you some context on this is actually the city council from Los Angeles. Excuse me. And there's a young lady on a city council who was a city council president by the name of Nuri Martinez, I think her name was. She was in what she thought was a safe space talking about another one of the council members' child that was on a MLK float that they were on. Now, I didn't get until I think it was last night, that how old this child was. But this is a conversation that she started to have with other members of the board. The one guy wasn't there, about this guy's child and how things kind of go forward with. Go ahead and hit the clip, and then I'll bring context.
This is when they called him a little monkey or something.
Yes. So that's what this is.
So getting back to Marquise, I told Danny, if you want to cut a deal and if you want to make like boss moves, I would go after the airport. He goes, I love that idea. I said, tell Marquise,
So
go take it from his friend.
Don't go
after. Leave him alone. Go get the airport from his little brother, that little bitch Bonnet.
Black people.
I go, what is with Bonnet? And I said, Bonnet thinks he's black. That guy don't think he's black. I go, he thinks he's black. I told her the same thing.
This kid is.
He goes, why are they so close? No idea.
And he's from Massachusetts.
This kid, the one here.
That kid is the dumb.
He's black.
All these Latino
Lo
kids.
trae así during Black History Month, lo lleva al council y lo pone acá en el, remember, lo trae, it's an accessory. When we do the MLK parade,
Just like when
They used to have those statues
What?
in
Lo trae right?
plantations.
Wait,
didn't
and
they?
then when Nori
In the
brings
front.
her Goyard bag or the Louis Vuitton bag, and trae su
su negrito, like on the side, and lo trae, ¿verdad? You sit next to it, you don't got it side. For MLK, for the parade that Herb used to organize, and we used all the council who wanted to join Herb on the float, because he used to do a whole float to be nice. Bonnie would be like, hey, Nuri, are you going to the MLK? Well, Herb invited me, yeah, I'll go. okay, I'm bringing whatever the kid's name is. I'm like, it's like the oddest thing. It's like black and brown on this float. And then there's this white guy with this little black kid who's misbehaved. Este niño has they're not doing, the kid is bouncing off the effing walls on the float, practically tipping it over. There's nothing you can do to control him. Parece changuito. And I'm just like, oh my God. I'm over here trying to parent this kid. I'm like, you can't do that. I said no. And Mike is like, I'm like, you're not teaching your kid anything. It's me and Karen Bass on the float trying to check this little kid. Me, Karen Bass, y la esposa de Marquise, Carrie. And we're all looking at each other because we're the three women on the float. Like, who's gonna? This kid's gonna tip us over. Because he's literally hanging on the rails.
Well, you can't let him off because the spectators will beat his ass.
Yeah.
They're raising him like a little white kid, which I was like, this kid needs a beat down. Like, let me take him around the corner and then I'll bring him back.
Yeah.
¿Sí me entiendes? Ven para acá.
It's a pinch.
Yeah. So anyways, getting back to redistricting.
Man, she can't deny, she's already resigned as president on the city council. She didn't resign from the city council, but what they're doing now is they're calling for all of them, Cedillo and for De Leon, to resign from the city council altogether, almost to the point to where they were kind of booed them out of there. Now, here's my question to you. We all have been around where there's been a little bad kid running around, acting a fool, acting like a little monkey.
Did you say black kid or?
A little bad kid.
A bad kid, right.
Bad kid, running around. And, jumping around on things like a little monkey, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Wow. I think the biggest indictment is against the white people. Because she said, he acting like a little white kid. I said, what are you trying to say about white kids? You think all white kids run around and act a fool like a little monkey? What is that supposed to mean? Yeah, she did compare the two, but what she said, she thought she was amongst friends. Somebody recorded that and I'm not excusing it, but do you think they should all be kicked off of city council?
No, I think you should pick your friends.
Because somebody in there was... Because when is a conversation sacred? When can I be safe to say, if I'm having a conversation with you, I just assume as my friend, you're not recording me. That's just what I assume. So do we have to be careful what we say everywhere to the point to where it's like, man, you just got to assume somebody might be recording you? Because you can see it's not video. It's straight audio. Somebody recorded this. And in close proximity, quite frankly, because it's super clear. It's super clear. Now, I'm not saying she should have called the little man, little monkey. Now, the council member is white. The little kid is black. So, he obviously adopted him. But the kid's only 3. It's like, what 3-year-old do you know that just, when you see a 3-year-old.
He's going to hang around on a float and wave at people.
Yeah. I mean, if you see a 3-year-old that's normally just that's behaving properly, quiet, not jumping around, you usually say, man, that's a well-behaved young. It's almost like an anomaly. You don't normally see, because we expect toddlers to run around and make noise and do and jump on things, but she obviously had a problem with the kid, and I don't know if it's because the kid's black or what, but she was going in on him being, raised like a white kid. And I think that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate that it was that way.
I think it's sort of, sometimes I think, and I don't know if this is one of them times, I think it's racist to talk about being black, and I think it's racist to talk about white, and I think it's racist to talk about Asians. Do you see what I'm saying?
To talk about them, it's racist?
Just to talk about a specific, we're all people at the end of the day, and we all need to view that. I just think it's the way that we treat one another. That's what's racist. Do you understand the view that we have on people, whether you're Asian or whether you're, you know, black, white, or indifferent? I think it's just how we treat one another.
Oh yeah, of course. If you're thinking that you're better because of your race, but I think you should be able to talk about
the thing that disappoints me.
Whatever.
The thing that disappoints me about this is that we're talking about somebody that's in a public position.
Oh yeah, of course. Now,
and that goes back to what I said before, you know. And one of the we can check the backgrounds of public figures, but how do we check the integrity?
That's the thing. That comes out in time. And in this case, this wasn't a meeting, so to speak. This was just three people sitting around talking, as I understand. But this was the conversation. And the bigger tragedy is they didn't check her on it. They were almost kind of stoking the fire. Nobody said anything. Oh, hey, Neri, that's not cool. He's a 3-year-old. You know, that happened. No one said anything. So I think that's why they're calling upon their resignation as well. It's like y'all were sitting around all just talking about around a water cooler. So how do we know you have our best interest at heart if you're sitting around, talking? So
have you seen the comments box?
Our comments?
Yeah.
Oh no, I haven't. I saw a few.
I've got one. I've got one guy on here, and he says he said Robnoxious podcast, Kanye speaking truths. The media don't like that.
That's true. The media doesn't like it. When Kanye says something and it has a ring of truth, they don't like it. And that's what he's talking about.
Even though he says the things about the Jews?
Well, that is in reference to those in leadership, right? Now, the whole DEF CON thing, that he could have left that out. But like Rob said, at least it wasn't a 1. DEF CON 1 is big trouble, baby. That's a,
And then he says, Obnoxious podcast. All public servants should be recorded.
Yep, all public service. Well, and I guess if you're having a public meeting with your colleagues, definitely. But I guess if you're at your house, you should have some kind of privacy there. But anywho, it's different. I just think, and to his point there, he says prejudice is not the same as racism. I totally agree. We all have prejudices. Everyone has those. But when you start to think that because I'm black, I'm better than you because I'm black, and thinking that I'm superior than you, that's where the issue. That's racist. But we can't call everything racism just because someone has a preconceived notion or idea about how a person is.
So
if a pit bull ran in here right now, we would all think, that pit bull is going to bite our throats and kill us. But that's not fair to call it. But it's a prejudice we have because they've been labeled as dogs that attack people, one of the most dangerous dogs. But that's not the case in every situation.
So, what's your okay?
What's your what?
What's your opinion about? I honestly forgot what I was going to say. What's your opinion about Black Lives Matter?
You want to do that? You want to
do
that to me?
If that's what you're saying, if that's
about if I'm saying what?
Do you think Black Lives Matter have a case?
A case about what? What do you mean? I want to make sure I'm understanding what you're asking.
Treated fairly, or do you think
has Black Lives Matter been treated fairly? Who though? The leader? Who are we talking about? That's a real broad question. I just want to make sure.
Do you think they have the point or the reasons to demonstrate?
I think any group has freedom to demonstrate peacefully. Any group. You already know my position on that. They can demonstrate however they want to, wherever they want to. That's a freedom that we have, that we share. Black Lives Matter got hot. 2013, I think it was.
Charlestonville. They're with the car.
Because let's just be real. Black people have been organizing for proper and equal treatment since we've been in this country. Period. So what was happening, or what is happening over the last years with getting together as like-minded people for the proper and right treatment of each other is not a new concept. But they got 3 words that rang with everyone that was on the same page, and they capitalized
Do you
on it.
think they would have been more effective by rather than saying Black Lives Matter, all lives matter?
Well, here's the thing. That goes without saying. We know all lives matter. All lives matter for sure.
So what's
But at the time, it was the black people that were being shot down
which
without
I agree
reason.
with, by the way.
And the sentiment behind it was one that it's like, man, we've got to do more to bring attention to why is this happening to black people. Not that it's not happening to anyone else, but why is it happening to black people? So I think the phrase itself was really put out in with a good intention. Now, when folks start digging all into the organization and the people that are behind it and what they've done with the money that was donated and all that stuff, it starts to come out eventually that it may not have been moved and pushed into the proper channels that it was meant for, like the families that were victims of, some of the police shootings and so on and so forth. But I think it started from a good place, quite frankly. It's just where we are today.
At what point with Black Lives Matter do you think it goes from a point of being a peaceful point to a non-peaceful?
I think the idea is for it all to start peaceful.
Right.
But
at what point, when you look back at that time, with all the trauma, I mean, at one point it got to burning homes, and then there was somebody driving through, which wasn't, I mean, that just was.
See, you're going to have a zealot in every group. And it's like to paint to put that on, and that's on either side, man. Whether it's
no, I'm not putting anything on any black person.
I'm giving it an idea.
I want to know, at what point would you say that stops, the violent part stops to the demonstration, because it starts off peaceful, which it did, correct? They was walking the street. They was all arm in arm, walking up the street.
We're talking about Charlottesville.
Yeah.
Okay.
With Black Lives Matter, and then for one reason or another, it became violent. So where would you draw the line?
To stop it, you mean?
Yeah.
To stop everything? When the violence starts. Once violence starts, protest is over.
Okay.
This is no longer a Black Lives Matter protest. This is some idiot that has escalated and taken it to the next level.
Okay. So let's go to January the 6th. Starts off peaceful. Would you say that was a peaceful event?
The intentions started peaceful, a demonstration, which we're free to do. And then you have some zealots that decided to escalate it.
Okay. And then do you call that an insurrection? Do you call that?
Insurrection, invasion, intrusion, you can call it what you want to call it. It's an embarrassment and a black eye on America is what it is.
That's exactly what it is. All my friends from England were calling it.
Quite frankly, that's what it is. And you have some people that took it over the top, unfortunately. That's just my opinion. I don't ever claim to be, have the gospel in it, but that's just my thought in it. And right now, I think it's a big old waste of time trying to talk about putting somebody in jail with it, because you can't adjudicate intent with someone because you're not in someone's brain, in their head. So we're wasting money trying to do that.
I disagree with you on that.
You think you can adjudicate intent?
I think we talk about making public officials accountable. And yet, the reason why they're not accountable is because there's no consequences. And yet, there's so much that, a former president has done and it's the same with Biden, to be perfectly honest, you know. Any of them, I'm not bothered with a Democrat, you know, Republican or whatever, if they've done anything that is not by the book, to be perfectly honest, but for especially when the whole thing with the former president was happening, with what he said about Hillary's emails. I mean, don't get me wrong, if Hillary did stuff with her emails, then I think it does need to be looked at.
She deleted them.
Well, with all systems, there's ways to, if you delete them, to...
Yeah, if you want to take it there, but
they're
not using the resources to find that out.
But there was people of the Secret Service that even deleted. They can't find 3 days worth of texts from Secret Service members for January the 6th. There's text missing from, I think, January the 3rd to the 6th or the 7th, but they're missing from the Secret Service members.
Okay.
So why are they missing? Why are they changing their phones all of a sudden? So that's what I'm saying is, how can you really put your heart into a system and feel that you and me are going by one standard, and you're a loan officer and I'm a real estate agent, and yet some of our politicians aren't, you know, going by the rules, especially if you've got classified information. Because that puts our allies, especially where we're going now with this so-called nuclear threat. And, you know, I was wondering the other day with this nuclear threat, I'm thinking to myself, if he had any files in there that were nuclear, and if anybody had access to them, because, you know, that's what, you know, are any of our allies going to be scared if any of them classified files have gone into the wrong hands? Is that why all of a sudden people are talking about nuclear threats? Because now perhaps they know, you know, a little bit more than they should do. Well, there's this little bomb around the corner that nobody knew about before.
Possibly.
You know, and that's nothing against Mr. Trump. It really isn't. I'm just saying that them are things that as a country we should be guarding against. Especially where we are at the moment now. Because I do think that there could be an Armageddon.
Well, I know this. We are inside a month for the midterms, and I highly encourage, if you are listening to this show, get to the polls, get people
out there and vote
into the positions that you want to be there, because we can't sit and cry about the situation if we don't get to the polls. And of course, we know that these are the elections that truly affect us, because they're the ones that they make the laws and pass all this stuff. The presidential stuff is cool, but these are the ones that matter, and these are the ones that are least attended. So we got to make sure we get people out there and vote, man. I think the registration opportunity is already left. So if you're not registered, we'll see you in a few years. But make sure you vote November the 8th. Get out there, vote. If you can early vote, I don't even know when that starts, but
actually, I've got it on here.
Do you? What do you got?
Early voting starts October 24th.
Okay.
To November the 4th.
November the 4th. Cool. Yeah.
Get in there and do it. Anyway.
Get in there and do it.
Thing here.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Well, with that being said, that's another week.
That's another week. Absolutely. We appreciate you guys joining us.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We look forward to seeing you next week. You know, we talk about all kinds of stuff on here. Some stuff we agree, most stuff we don't, but it's all good.
All right, guys.
If you need anything, real estate, mortgage, the description down below, reach out to us if you want to become a real estate agent, right?
Yeah, reach out to us.
Reach out to us, all right?
You're looking for a new career, come and see us with great.
Absolutely. Until next time, we'll
Peace.
see you.
Good luck.